The other thing I'm surprised about is that I was able to buy technology, plug it in, and actually get it to work.
Sometimes it doesn't work, does it?
Right, exactly.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Joe, Dr. Energy Piazza.
Rara is in the house. Catherine Asaro Myers.
Welcome back to BU Network Podcast, Conversations Worth Having.
Dr. Energy, Let's talk about our BU moment. So I'm standing in my bridge room with my 10-pound dumbbell. Physically speaking on my awesome new mic.
Yes, sounds amazing.
So excited about having this Blue Yeti. This was... so certainly it was a necessity, but of course I had to wait until something broke to make sure that I would get it.
And the cool part is, even though the brand is called Blue, you actually have a Blue microphone as well.
Yes, and that was exactly the one I wanted, being the last one on the shelf.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
awesome.
I'm surprised and excited that I have my Blue Yeti. It wasn't supposed to be for today, but it was supposed to be because it had to be. I'm looking at realigning some of the physical space that I'm in. So I'm going to recreate where I stand and how I talk to you and how I speak to our audience and how we speak to our audience. And I'm staring at a tennis ball that says, I am. And it's funny when you change your perspective, like I just changed my monitor a little bit and I'm staring at it and I'm thinking, I am. So I am here and I am present and I'm grateful to be doing this part of our work with you together. And I'm really surprised and happy that we're going to be together. The other thing I'm surprised about is that I was able to buy technology, plug it in, and actually get it to work.
Sometimes it doesn't work, does it?
Right, exactly. And I did it and thought, well, there must be something else to it because I'm sure I didn't know something. Is that all there is to it? The light lights up and that's it. So that was great. I was completely surprised about it. But the poor salesman that had me and the million questions I gave him, the funny thing was, as I shot those questions, he shot the answers back to me, and he was reading my mind. Try this on.
And that's that high fact finder, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was giving him like at machine gun speed what I needed, and he was shooting it back with me, and he was looking at me going, here, try these on, try this. And he was as fat, he was also probably like 20, right? So he was like right on there, this is mine, come to the cash, I'll show you what I'm like, I'm letting him lead me. I knew what he was doing. He was leading me to the cash so he can show me the rest, and I was just smiling. And as we're going there, he's like, is that cash, debit, or credit? He was super fantastic, and in a matter of minutes he signed up on Spotify for our podcast. When he did that, this was another surprise. When he did it, he looked at it, and I showed him on my phone Spotify so he could look at it. He got it right away. He said, are you Rara? And I said, yes. And he shook my hand, and I thought, that was a great surprise. As soon as I walk into a store and I say, I need this for my podcast, and they're like, okay, what kind of podcast? And, as soon as they start to see, oh, you really have a podcast. Oh my gosh, are you that person? So I was surprised, happily surprised, and having a new subscriber. So hopefully he'll listen to one of these shows and he'll know who I'm talking about, because I'm going to go back and buy from him again.
For sure. He did such a good job, with serving your needs and knowing what you needed and listening to what you were asking for, and he had the exact solution you were looking for and said, this is what you want and this is what's going to work.
Yes, he was fantastic. So that's my element of surprise, and it really was amazing. It was fun. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
What are you at today? Oh, I have to give you the emotion. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the emotion of disappointment.
Sometimes the disappointment comes in from a business perspective for me. I find that in recent times, I do a better job of disconnecting myself from wanting my patients to get better for them more than they want it for themselves. So I find that I used to get disappointed when people wouldn't come in, or they cancel their appointments, or they shift their appointments. And I was taking it personally, and I would get disappointed. And then I realized I can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves.
Right.
So I had to turn around that disappointment. It was a really good learning for me in becoming, this is going back, earlier on in my career. I've been doing this for 20 years now. And that, being able to turn that around and use that as a learning moment, being with the emotion of disappointment to find out what it was really telling me, really showing me that I couldn't take it home with me. I couldn't take my patients' woes and concerns on. So once I walk out the door of the office, that's it. I leave it behind. I actually make a physical motion of hanging up something like on a tree or on a hook outside the office. So I make sure I leave it behind, and I don't take it home with me. And that has made a huge, huge difference in practice. It's very freeing. And I find I don't spend so much time thinking and worrying about the office, about patients, about the business when I'm away from the office. So I was able to take that emotion of disappointment and use it to grow and to learn something new about myself. And I've been able to transfer that into other areas of my life as well, realizing that when somebody says no to care, or no to coaching, or no to sending cards, or whatever it might be, they're not rejecting me personally. They're rejecting that they're not rejecting anything. It's not the right time for them. And when I don't take it personally like that anymore, I don't get disappointed. I just say, okay, I'm still here. If you need us, let us know when is the right time for you. And we're still here.
And I like that you use a physical action of hanging it up.
Mm-hmm.
In this moment, with the amazing guests that we have.
I can't wait. This is so much fun.
And we will talk about the different phases of the voice with our guest, Sunday. This might be a great time to segue right into Sunday.
Absolutely. We'll see you on the other side.
Want to make sure that when our audience listens, they know that we do this podcast at all different times of the day.
Absolutely.
Today, I'm really excited about Sunday. Not to confuse what I'm saying with what day of the week this is, but just to say our guest is Sunday, and she's an amazing woman. We've had the pleasure of not only speaking with Sunday, but I've had the pleasure of giving Sunday a hug. Now, that's a real treat. And listening to her voice, that's another treat. There are so many wonderful things. I'd like to read a few things about Sunday's accolades. Sunday is the founder, the creative manager, and inspiration of Great Big Voices. She excels in helping people manifest their dreams into reality and communicate authentically to the world.
Wow.
Sunday is a singer, a celebrity voiceover actress, author, holistic voice coach, and speaker. Her movement and voiceover workshops have been featured in the Huffington Post.
Wow.
She's been a featured speaker and taught voice and movement across North America at NYU, Mallorca Holistic Retreat, National Theatre School, Covenant House, Children's Theatre Company, New York City, JCC NYC, Randolph Academy, VO Atlanta, MAVO.
Wow.
Sunday was nominated for a Voice Arts Award for Best Voiceover in an Animation Series through the Society of Voice Arts in LA. And she's a proud recipient of the Mid-Atlantic Voiceover Award.
Wow.
I'm going to keep going a little bit. I want you to hear this. I just want you to know this about her because she's such a modest woman, and I have to tell this. She's not going to talk about it. So she has some leading acting credits, includes Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, I know that one.
Sophie.
Bakugan.
Thank you.
Yeah, my nephew loves that one. He'll be surprised. I have to tell him that I interviewed somebody who was in Bakugan.
He's going to love that. Total Drama
Oh, I
Island.
know that one too.
Abby Hatcher. Jimmy Two Shoes.
Nice.
Arthur. Roly Poly Oli. Ollie, Roly Poly, Ollie, Oli. All right, I put
It rhymes.
Care Bears, Odd Job, Jack, Jane and the Dragon, Kalu. Oh, I know that one. Rilla's Wildlife, and dozens of radio, TV commercials. I know almost all of them. I feel like I can't wait for Sunday. I want to stop talking. I want Sunday to come onto the show. So welcome to
Hello.
the network.
Yes, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm sitting here looking at the beautiful sunshine shining through the forest in my backyard. So things are good.
Cindy, can you tell us, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about how did you discover that you have this beautiful voice and message?
How did I discover that I have this beautiful voice and message? I grew up doing theater, and I explored for many, many years the art of becoming other people, characters, and from a very young age, I mimicked other people, and I entertained my family and friends, and then on stage by being other people, and then it lent itself to voiceover many years later after theater school. And I guess it was a color palette that I was born with. And by that, I mean, it was just a way in which I could be seen and express myself in the world by becoming other people. And I understood that it was received well, people loved it, and there was heat and energy around my voice. So I kept following that.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. Dr. Joe, I get the feeling that you want to say something to Sunday.
Well, I just love the fact that, you were able to follow the energy and follow the flow of what you really enjoyed. It sounded almost like, I'm reminded a little bit of Jim Carrey, because that's kind of how he got started in acting, I think, right? Was mimicking people. That's how his stage show started, right? He was amazing at impressions and still is, and then turned that into an amazing career. And sounds like you've done something kind of similar. And also a fellow Canadian.
Yes, no, it's true. He was my idol for many, many years. I still really love Jim Carrey.
Oh, he's awesome.
But yes, I think that Jim Carrey is a great storyteller, and I think really that underneath everything of what I do, I'm a storyteller, and I embody the characters of the story and tell them in different forms, whether through voice acting or one-woman shows or through singing.
Right.
Sunday, I have a question, Joe. I just have this thought in my mind. What do you do to get into character when you have, let's pick a character. Can you name one, and then I'll ask you a specific question about it?
Yes, absolutely.
Name one of your favorite characters for us, please.
Ella from Total Drama Island.
Okay, tell us.
I actually know that character.
Yes, it's awesome.
How do you get into character for that? What did you do to prepare?
So Ella is a princess who dances and sings running through the forest. And so
I can see it now.
Oh, yes. And so when I prepared for that audition in order to get the part, I just saw the image, and it was like my childhood dream. It was like something came true. I was like, oh my goodness, I understand this. I can see her flitting through the forest and kicking her leg and doing ballet and loving the animals. And so how I prepared was I used to imitate Snow White growing up, and I imagined a modern day comedic crazier version of Snow White. and I just stepped in and started to sing. Singing was my way into the character because she sings. Right. And so I did what I call an entry point for characters, which is something I teach. You know, there's always a kind of entry point or hook. And the hook for this character that I just intuitively understood was this kind of like, you know, like, here I am. You know, it's that kind of 40s Disney sound. I don't know, you know, that kind of, and that just launched me into seeing her, you know, kick her leg, and away I went. It just felt natural.
That's awesome.
And actually, I think there might be one more thing to say there.
Yes, go ahead.
That the face, that like my face, but for people listening, like getting into a character, your body needs to emulate the movement of the character. So when you imagine this character, it's like you have to, whatever you see them doing, it's like you have to kind of hunch your back or scrunch your face or widen your, like lift your eyebrows and put a big smile on, and you know, however you see that, you have to really do your best to embody it first. Right. That's really important.
And may I ask you one more question? I love when you were just using your voice to go into character. Have you had a character to do that is not with a light, lovely, beautiful voice that you have so naturally, but a character that makes you dig deep in and transform that voice into something else?
Yes. I play a demonic doll in Hotel Transylvania. And that is
a very different kind of sound. It's pretty scary, actually.
So yes, that's in the lower range. And I play a spider on Hotel Transylvania named Sheldon. And for me, all I could see was George Jefferson. When I read the spider, he's a recurring part, and
he's kind of like, well, it's come like down there, you know. Well, I don't want, but you better not get over it. What do you do? Who do you think you are?
You know, he's kind of New York-y, just a very different sound than my natural voice. And again, I just got this like snapshot of George Jefferson in my head, and I couldn't let it go. And I'm like, well, that's the spider. That's who he is.
Cindy, do you have a special voice that you do when you're with you and yourself and you're home? I think I might have hit on something. Okay, I'll say no more. I'll leave the rest up to you.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course I do. I mean, so you know that voice that a lot of people talk to their pets with?
Right.
I mean, a lot of people talk to their pets. They're like, yes, I've kind of had a voice, you know, my whole life. I don't know where it comes from. It just,
I don't want to do it. No, I don't feel like it. No, I don't want to do that. No. Oh, I like you too. Yeah.
Somebody says, "How are you doing?"
I don't know. I feel kind of funky today.
It's like a kid voice that just sort of sums up. I don't know. I do it all the time. I do talk to myself. So it goes from kind of pouty, you know, if I'm having that kind of day.
Oh, I don't feel very good.
To something. My close friends know this very well. You know, it'll pop out to like. I'll say to my friend Leah,
"Hello, Miss Leah. How are you today?"
You know, or I'm like,
"Oh, Leah. Oh, I'm so sorry."
You know, I'm not mocking my friend.
Right.
But it's just a voice of like,
"Hello. I don't know. I don't feel like no, I don't want to do that. No, thanks."
So that would be the voice right there. And it varies. It goes high and low to like,
what is he doing on TV? What is that guy doing? Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
Just, it's been with me my whole life. And when you've watched me with a dog, you just either want to run away or love it so much because you kind of relate. Like I think I talk in a kind of voice that some people want to talk in, or they want to express like that, but they don't because it's too crazy.
They're afraid people might think they're crazy or something, right?
Right. And I don't have that filter. Like, I'm like, I don't care.
Clearly.
I run up to dogs on the street and I'll say, can I pet your dog? And my favorite are Bichon Frises because that was my family dog. And I'll just be,
who's your puppy? Who's your schmuffy, fluffy puppy? Who's your bushy puppy?
And it brings me joy. It brings me joy.
That's wonderful. I could totally with that voice, I could totally see being like the over smothering, kindergarten teacher character or something like that, right? Like I could totally see you playing that kind of a character.
I want to play that kind of character, actually, Dr. Joe. I have not played that before. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, it's almost like an over even. I mean, Mrs. Doubtfire was over the top as it was, but something like even to the beyond that, but more smothering, like.
Yes, more smothering, but like not terrifying, right?
Right,
She's
right.
not like a horror film.
No. Although that could be interesting too.
It could in a cartoon.
Yeah,
it could actually.
Yeah.
It could be like the bad witch, but she has her pet dog and she's all lovey-dovey with her pet dog, but with everybody else, she's like this evil person, right?
Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I could do this every morning with you guys.
Sandy, let me ask you another question. Do you ever wake up and decide that you just want to be someone else? So you go through the day, you answer the phone, and you're not Sunday Muse.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. The answer is yes. And I'm just sort of reflecting on how I do that. That I want to be someone else. Yes, absolutely. Do I be that person all day? No. But do I imagine that I am? Absolutely. Right. Like something that I've picked up from somebody that I really admire, or like even catchphrases that they've used. I'm very much like a kid that way. I take in my environment. It's like I'll meet somebody who I really absorb their rhythm, or like a catchphrase or something they say, and I'll start doing it, and I'll kind of go, oh, what am I doing? But it feels good, It's like, oh, I'm saying that word like that person, and feels kind of nice.
I've got a fun story about that, actually, if you don't mind, I'll share.
Yeah.
I remember when I graduated from chiropractic colleges several years back now, and we, for our grad trip, a group of friends, we drove down to Florida. One of our friends, her sister had a timeshare in Satellite Beach, so we were about 45 minutes south of Cape Canaveral. And at the condos, right, you go on the first day you're there, they usually have like an orientation meeting where you go and you meet people and they tell you what's going on at the resort, when cocktail time is around the pool and all that kind of stuff. So everybody's going around the room introducing themselves, and myself and the boyfriend, now husband of this friend, I said, just go, I'm gonna be a goof, just go with me, right? So it came around to me and I introduced myself as Bryce Worthington III, this really snotty surf dude, kind of from overprivileged and stuff, and just went with it for the whole time. And he made up some other name and he was right with me on it. And so then later on, that 2 days later, we were sitting around the pool and it was margaritas around the pool, and the guy who's the sort of like Julie, your cruise director from the Love Boat, that guy, right, doing all the social stuff. He comes up to me and says, "Hey, Bryce." I'm like, and I started laughing so hard. And I said, "I'm sorry, man. I just got to tell you the truth." Right? So I came clean on it, and he just laughed, and he was just laughing. He goes, "That's totally cool, man. We get everything around here." So
that's great.
It's fun to sometimes put on a different personality, a different mask, and be conscious of the mask or the personality that you're putting on.
For sure. It gives people permission to play different sides actually that are very liberating from just, being who we are every day. Right. Oddly enough, the people we choose, even if their characters have something to express, I think that we need to express. Like sometimes there's like a profound confidence in some fun character we're taking on that we ourselves are maybe at a certain point in our lives looking for or seeking. And it's so empowering to be other people for fun or just kind of, trying it on. Like years and years ago after theater school, I did a temp job. I think I worked for HSBC or something like this, and I'm not a phone. I had to call like 30,000 people a day. It felt like, just me sitting in a little cubicle, and I was going nuts because I was like, I'm a creative individual. I can't sit at a desk all day, but I needed to pay my rent and blah, blah, blah. So there I was. And I decided I will be a character picking up the phone, and I will call everybody with this particular voice. And instead of calling myself Sunday, because it confused people to death. This is Sunday calling from HSBC. Who? What? Who? What? Sunday from the Bay? I'm like, no, HSBC.
Right.
So I became Cindy, and I was Cindy the secretary, and I truly it started to enjoy my job.
Right.
By becoming somebody else.
Well, it's so liberating to be able to say things in a character that you couldn't say, you maybe feel like you couldn't say as yourself.
Yes, that's what I'm all about. The sides of ourselves, like we have these, our moods, everyone's moods are full-blown characters. We just don't necessarily think that way, but they are. Right. Like the movie Inside Out really displayed that. But
that was awesome.
That lives inside. And when we get to explore them on a very truthful level, we understand that we all have those characters inside ourselves. It's just we express
whether we
them
want to admit it or not, right?
Right. Right. Totally.
As we've talked about in a previous episode, sometimes we have all these multiple personalities.
Yes, Sybil.
Yes, there's Sybil again. Sunday, I have a question for you. I don't think anyone else will see this coming. Can you talk to us about your shruti?
Yes, of course. So my shruti box is it's an East Indian instrument. It looks like a fat briefcase, and it's got little piano key notes on the back of it. It's very small and light, and then how you play it, it's like a drone note. How you play it, it has like what do you call the part of the accordion that you push in?
The bellows.
The bellows. It has a small, very small set of bellows that you just, you rest it on the floor or the table, and you just loosely, gently push it in and out, and it creates this beautiful drone note that I sing with this instrument. And that's another side of me that is very active in my life right now. So the Shruti box, I named her Tutti Shruti just because I have I have no idea. Maybe because I'm half Italian. So I'm like, it's a Tutti Shruti, and it's just so much fun to call her my Tutti Shruti.
I can just hear little Richard sing along, Tutti Shruti.
Yes, that's right. That's hilarious. Yes.
I had the pleasure, Sunday, of listening to you, and if there were a way that I could have captured that moment in time and put it in a bubble and then released it on this podcast, I would. It was so beautiful to feel what you were doing and the energy in the room. I don't know if you have a way to express that to our audience, but would you have some way to explain to them what we receive? You're playing that, and I know what you're giving us, and what and I'm sure you've received it as well, because as the author, as the producer of your Shruti vibe, I'm sure you know what we're getting. Can you somehow put that into words for our audience to get that picture?
Yeah, like what it is that they're receiving?
Yes.
Or what it is that I'm doing?
Let's do both. Let's do both.
What it is that I'm doing when I sing, first of all, I'm not in a character. So I'm just going to sort of make that differentiation. I think that's a really important point. I'm not in a cartoon character or somebody in my mind. I'm most at home and close to me when I'm singing. And when I share, I am tuning into the audience, and I am calling forth a very vulnerable place in my being to come forward and to share with people, a call to come home for all of us. It's really a call to come home to the body. And it's very hard to describe, how I sing and until you hear it, because it's lyrical and sometimes it's just vowels, and it's a song. It's really a song of my heart, from my heart. And I feel that, what people are receiving is perhaps a welcoming,
right,
of who they are, and perhaps whatever it is that they need in that moment. Maybe that's what they're receiving. Some people seem to comment on how good they feel, and other people seem to mention that they went away to a very peaceful place, and other people feel emotional, and it kind of seems to vary. So I just share from a very deep place, and I guess some people might call that a character, in the sense of it's a side of me.
Right.
But it's not like a funny voice and like I'm imitating something or somebody.
Right.
It's most like me, and I feel very, very at peace there. Yeah.
I can hear that in your voice, and the energy of it. It's something very, very close to your core of who you're being, of who you are. And so, and for people who might be unfamiliar with it, basically you're talking about kirtan, right? Like chanting and devotional prayers, singing, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's different from kirtan.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked that, because I know kirtan very well. And so the devotional aspect is like kirtan.
Okay.
The chanting
a little bit different.
is chanting. Kirtan it follows a specific chant, and it's call and response, where you sing and then they sing, and then you sing and they sing. This is kind of my own devotional singing so the devotional aspect is there, but the structure and the kind of way that kirtan is done is not. It's totally my own thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Sunday, I was exactly going to say that. I do feel that is your gift, your choice. You do that and present that when you feel it's right. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly. That's right. And I don't, well, I mean, I do it for audiences, and sometimes when I'm teaching, I'll sing, and sometimes it has nothing to do with teaching. I'm just singing, and the singing is kind of the teaching. If that makes any sense.
Yes. Sunday, there's one more question that I would like to ask you, and maybe Dr. Joe does, and then I'd like to do something that we call our BU final moment. I'd like to know if you can give us a quick synopsis of how did that book that you wrote, how did that go for you? What was that experience like? book that you have in your repertoire of awards and wonderful things that you've done?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The book is called You Can Do Cartoon Voices Too. And I wrote that book with the intention of serving people who want to do cartoon voices and want to explore that as a starting point to becoming a voice actor.
Right.
And so at the time when I wrote it, I was receiving phone calls from people who lived in small cities in the US. For some reason, it was mostly US. And they would say, do you have a book? We found you online, but do you have a book? And I thought, well, that's a message that I need to write it. So, so I took a year and I went at it and I transcribed all of my classes. I would record and then transcribe, and I worked away at it. So it's really with the intention of helping kids, teens, and adults free up the characters that live inside them and to give them an option and a knowing that this voiceover world is a way in which people can make a living, and that that's a possibility for kids and parents to be aware of. That they can guide their kids to that as a career possibility. So it was a way for me to put down all that I knew as a voice actor to share with the world.
It seems like almost an odd way to learn how to do cartoon voices by reading a book, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, exactly. And cartoon voices are very experiential, but I think that people want to read about it too, because it's like a course structure, really.
Right.
The book takes you through a step-by-step kind of program, and familiarizes you with the industry and how to do this and what this is. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sunday. Your gifts are endless and they are ongoing, and we look forward to all of the things that you have in store for us. This has been such an amazing time with you. I definitely don't want it to end, and it won't end, but we have a segment of the show that we'd like to discuss, and we call that the BU Final Moment. That is more of a takeaway that we all have from spending this time together, and we like to share that with our audience. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask your BU final moment first, and then Dr. Energy, and then I'll share mine after.
Perfect.
Sunday, would you like to share with us your BU final moment?
Yes. My BU final moment would be that I'm just aware and kind of delighted to become aware of how all these parts of myself have lent themselves to what I do today. It's like I can see how it makes sense that these characters and ways of expressing my voice growing up and through voiceover have helped me find a kind of very deep, intimate space of home inside myself in which I sing from.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank
that's
you so
awesome.
much. Dr. Energy.
Yes.
Let's hear your BU final moment, please.
So my takeaway, my final moment for today from speaking with Sunday and with you is that it doesn't matter what voice you use to share your truth or to share your wisdom. If there's a message inside of you, share it. And whatever voice that comes through in is awesome. So share your voice.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And yourself?
Thank you for asking. My BU final moment is speak up, be bold, live out loud, and use your voice at every decibel, at every height, at every bridge that you approach in life. Use your voice, because it is something that we all need to hear, and the vibration of our voice lives on.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sunday, for being on our podcast with us. This has been a delightful show, to say the least, and fun and funny and happy. And I'm going to try all these different things now when nobody's around and see if I can come up with my own special voice.
Oh, it's so wonderful. What a delight that was for me as well. I just wanted to say that to you guys because
Yes.
you know, the questions that you asked beautifully linked together all these aspects of myself, and I really am grateful for that, and I really appreciate the thoughtfulness of the questions. That's very meaningful for me. It wasn't just to talk about me doing cartoon voices.
Right.
It really opened up all of me, and I value that. That's what I want more of, and I feel like I could just keep talking.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. This could definitely have been a much longer conversation worth having, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we can always, I guess we could always do a
Yes.
revisit or do another one as another time, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, we definitely can. And Sunday, I appreciate all of the time that you've devoted to us today to have a wonderful show. And this show will live forever. We will get to hear it.
Digitally.
Yes, your voice will reverberate and it will vibrate and it will raise the vibrations of those who listen to us. So I want to say thank you so much.
Before we go.
Yeah, I wanted to say something too, but yeah, go ahead, Dr.
Yeah, I was going to ask how what's your favorite way of being reached and where can we find you? We'll put it all on the show notes on the website as well, but we'd like to have people hear it as well.
Yeah. So I think free your voice. Email? Did you say email or
email
website?
or website or whatever is your favorite way?
I think through sundaymuse.com. So SUNDAYMUSE.
Yep.
.com.
Perfect.
And I know it's confusing, but my last name is also spelled MUISE. That's actually being changed on my website because poor people are getting confused. My last name is actually spelled MUISE.
Right.
Anyways, so sundaymuse.com, and email is freeyourvoice.love@gmail. And I might as well add this. I put this in the fill out form, but for voiceover, it's greatbigvoices.com.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining us. Sharing is caring. Tell your friends about conversations worth having on BU Network. We really appreciate your reviews, and you can do that on Apple Podcast. Thank you.
For show notes and links, go to www.b-u.network/podcasts. Connect with us via our website, www.b-u.network.
We're looking forward to hearing from you, and thank you for being with us. Ciao.
Ciao, babies.